Hello, this is Ms. Pat from Camden's Public Library. This week in Science Scouts, we're going to learn about wind energy. Our book for this week is Energy Island by Allan Drummond. This is a true story about one community that harnessed the wind and changed their world. Welcome to Energy Island. The real name of our island is Samso, but we like to call it Energy Island. Not too long ago, we were just ordinary people living on an ordinary island in the middle of Denmark. In many ways, Samso was, and still is, not very different from where you live. We have lots of fields and farms where farmers raise cows and sheep and grow crops like potatoes and peas and corn and strawberries. And there is a harbor where the ferries and fishing boats come in. Our little home has recently become quite famous. And scientists travel from all over the world just to talk to us and learn about what we've done. Let's go. Hold on to your hats. Our island is in the middle of Denmark, and it's in the middle of the sea. That's why it's always very windy here. Oops. In the summer, we have fun at the beach, and in the winter, we play games inside. We have villages and schools, kids play soccer, and grown-ups go to the grocery store. It's very ordinary here, apart from the wind. The way we used to use energy was very ordinary too. On dark winter nights, we switched on lots of lights and turned up our heaters to keep warm. We used hot water without even thinking. Our oil arrived by tanker ship and truck, and we used it to fill up our cars and our heating systems. And our electricity came from the mainland by cable under the sea. A few years ago, most of us didn't think much about where our energy came from or how it was made. That was before our island won a very unusual competition. The Danish Ministry of Energy chose Samso as the ideal place in Denmark to become independent of non-renewable energy. A teacher named Soren Hermansen was elected to lead the Energy Independence Project. He was a very ordinary person too. Okay, he did play bass guitar in a band, but his favorite subject was environmental studies, and he was very excited about energy independence. Tell me, class, what are some ways we could make our own energy right here on the island? Capture heat from the sun, use oil from crops, burn straw and wood, ride bicycles instead of cars. Imagine if we really could make enough energy from the sun and our crops and even our own legs to power the whole island. Then we wouldn't need the oil tankers to come here. We wouldn't have to worry about all the world's oil running out. And we wouldn't need electricity to be sent to the mainland. Renewable resources are so much cleaner. And think of the money we would save. We just need to think big. But do you think we can really create that much energy ourselves, said Nadia? From just the sun, our crops, and our legs? Well, you know, said Catherine, if there's one thing our island has plenty of, it's wind. Maybe we should start with wind energy. That's a wonderful idea, said Mr. Hermansen. Who's with me? Hold on to your hats, we all said. We kids were very excited about all the new ideas. But as for the grown-ups, well, it took them a while to catch on. It will cost millions, said George the Transfer. All these cows keep busy enough already. Heat from the sun, said Peter Pollen. Why would we bother with that? As long as I can keep my house warm and watch TV, I'm happy. I don't need any change. Bicycles, said Mulder. No way. I love my truck. Why us? said Dorothy Knudsen. Some other island to take on the challenge. Renewable energy, said Soren Hansen. I'm too old for that. Samsung is just an ordinary kind of place, said Allan Drummond. What difference can we make in the world? Energy independence in your dreams, said Peterson. But Soren Hermansen wouldn't give up. He called lots of local meetings. There's energy all around us, he told the islanders. We just need to work together and think big to make the best use of it. Teach the children to do it. What if I built a small wind turbine for my family? We're just a little island. How can we make a difference? Brian, don't talk about small. You gotta think big. He talked to everybody. The soccer team, the farmers, the teachers, the fishermen, the police, the lighthouse keeper, the dentist, for several years. People listened, and lots of them even agreed with Soren Hermansen, with what he was saying, but nothing happened. Was anyone willing to make a change? And one day, the electrician, Brian Kaiser, called Soren Hermansen. I'm thinking small, he said. I'd like to put up a second-hand wind turbine next to my house. Jorgen Tranberg was thinking big. I want a huge wind turbine. I'll invest my money and then sell the electricity it makes. Mr. Hermansen was excited. 2 renewable energy projects had begun, one very small and one very big. Brian called on his family and friends to help him put up his wind turbine. While it took a big ship, some giant trucks, and 2 enormous cranes to build Jorgen Tranberg's. So that little one, and we got a giant big one. The project on Samso had begun, but we were still using a lot of non-renewable energy. It looked like we might never achieve our dream until one dark winter night, sleet and snow blasted across the island. Suddenly, all the electricity on the entire island went out. Everything was dark. Notice something. Everything, that is, except Brian's house. Free electricity, shouted Mr. Kaiser. My turbine works. Tonight, I'm energy independent. Sure enough, the blades on his new turbine were whooshing and whirring in the wind. Hold on to your hats, cried Soren Hermansen. News travels fast on a small island like Samso. And after that night, everyone was asking how they could make energy of their own. Suddenly, Soren Hermansen was busier than ever, helping people start new energy projects. The whole island got to work. Some people had big ideas, some people had small, but all of them were important in working towards our goal. The home family installed solar panels, and today their sheep are munching grass while the panels soak up energy from the sun. Ingvar Jorgensen built a biomass furnace. It burns straw instead of oil, and now it heats his house and his neighbors' houses too. In fact, biomass is so big on Samso that whole villages are now heated by burning wood and straw that are grown on the island. Eric Anderson makes tractor fuel oil from his canola crop. And Brian's wife, Bettina, whizzes around in an electric car. Their windmill powers the batteries. Today, we even have electric bicycles charged by the power of the wind. Every one of us has an energy independence story, and that's why people all over the world want to hear the latest news from Energy Island. Let's see if Jorgen Tranberg will take us up the ladder to the very top of his fantastic wind turbine, so we can see what Samso looks like today. As you can see, there's plenty going on. Now we have lots of wind turbines. Down there is Samso's brand new learning center, the Energy Academy, where kids and grown-ups from all over the world come to learn about what we've achieved and to talk about new ideas for creating, sharing, and saving energy. Guess who the director of the Academy is? An extraordinary teacher named Soren Hermansen. Things have certainly changed on our little island in the past few years. We no longer need the oil tankers to bring us oil, and we don't need electricity from the mainland. In fact, on very windy days, we have so much power, we send our own electricity back through the cable under the sea for other people in Denmark to use. Samso may be a small island, but we've made a difference in the world, reducing our carbon emissions by 140% in just 10 years. And we did it by working together. So that's how we got the name Energy Island. And what can you do to make a difference on your island? What's that? You say you don't live on an island? Well, maybe you think you don't live on an island, but actually you do. We all do. We are all islanders on the biggest island of them all, planet Earth. So it's up to us to figure out how to save it. There's renewable energy all around us. We just need to work together to make the best use of it. Hold on to your hats. All right, so we are going to talk about what kind of energy, because you guys feel the wind all the time, but you don't actually know how you can turn it into energy, right? And I know you've all seen these, right? Some of you might have even gotten these at the library one time as a prize, right? Me blowing it makes wind. We're going to make our own later, and we're going to talk about how we can use that to make a Lego man go up, right? Kind of like a mini elevator. So wind energy, right? These giant things here, and you might have seen some of them out in the field. Some people have them next to their houses. They might only have one, but if they're just making energy for their house, that's all they're going to need. That's all he had. Remember, when all the power went out, he had one next to his house, and he was the only person with electricity. Okay, so wind energy is the movement of air, right? It's caused by pressure differences in the atmosphere. So when the air heats up over land, we know hot air rises, right? Hot air goes up. Well, we need air down here, so the cold air is going to come in. Right? So that's the high pressure system moving in. That's why whenever you guys go to the beach, the air on top of the beach is always heating up and going up, and the air over the water is cooler, so it's moving in, and that's what's causing the wind. Okay, the air is going to move from high pressure to low pressure. It's called low pressure because there's very little left. There's a lot of it out there because it's cooler, so it's moving in. Right? Wind turbines work on a simple principle, right? Of using electricity, or we can use wind to make electricity like a fan. Wind turbines will turn a propeller, which is this giant blade here. That turns the shaft, the gears, and it's going to store the energy inside the electric generator, which is inside. So you don't really see that from the outside, and we don't see it on this either because this doesn't have the gears or the electric generator in there. It does have a shaft, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. So what are the advantages of using wind energy? It is a renewable source. Non-renewable means we can't make more of it. Okay, so things like trees, oil, gas, we have a certain amount left on our planet, and that's it. Even the trees, because think about it, if we cut down these great big trees and then we plant these itty bitty little ones, it takes a really long time for these little trees to grow really big. So they're not really a renewable resource, because sometimes you'll plant a tree when you're little and you may not get to see it fully grown. Okay, gas, oil, those are not renewable. Wind is a renewable resource. It's pollution free. Okay, it doesn't burn anything. It doesn't put smoke into the air. The land between the turbines, meaning these giant fans, can be used for farming, right? Notice all this corn that's growing around it. So it doesn't take up a lot of space, right? There's no need to dig underground or drill for the resource. So there's less land pollution. Okay, we don't have to lay down cables. We don't have to drill for oil and then build a giant thing on top of it and hope it doesn't leak into the dirt or our water, right? It can be used to supply energy in remote places, just like Energy Island. That was a small island north of Denmark, right? In the middle of the sea. So it's a remote place, but it was really windy there because, again, it's by the water. There are some disadvantages, though, to using wind power, right? There is a wildlife impact. There's a lot of birds get killed by the blades on the turbine, right? The risk to nature, though, from climate change is far greater than that. All right, a lot of birds are changing their migration patterns because of the climate change, because of the temperature changes. Some of them aren't going back to where they started, right? The wind isn't always predictable. That's another problem. Some days might have a lot of wind and other days might not have any wind, right? Unless you build these things at the beach. But if you're building them on a farm, there's not always a guarantee that you're going to have wind. However, you can store the electricity. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, I do want to show you this. All right, so this here would be your shaft. These things would be your blades. Notice they have a lot more than what these guys had on theirs. They only put 3 blades on theirs. We're going to have 4 on ours. I don't know how to make this one. This one has a whole bunch of them. Now we can't use this because what's turning on this shaft is going inside this plastic thing here. And this is what's turning, but it's inside there. So we can't use this. So we're going to have to make our own. So when you guys come in, you're going to get a piece of paper. You're going to get a giant tube. You're going to get a pencil, a thumbtack, a Lego man, and a string. Okay? Now the first thing I want you guys to do, all the papers are already folded once because we wanted to make a square. Okay? So now I want you to fold it one more time. Okay, so now you have 4 squares. Take your tube, put it right in the middle, and trace a circle around it. Didn't come out that well. Let's see, let's try this again. All right. Okay, so we're going to take our scissors. And we're going to cut on the lines, but we're going to stop at the circle. We don't want to go all the way to the middle. Okay. And this is going to be our pinwheel. Now, if you want to color it, draw on it, decorate it, that's up to you. Just keep in mind, though, that when you turn it into a pinwheel, if you draw pictures on this, some of them are going to not be seen because we're going to tuck this in. Okay. So we're going to take every other corner. So if I take this one and I bend it down to the middle, okay. Trying to figure out how to do this and hold it up. And then I'm going to take this one and pull it up. I'm going every other one. And I can't do this holding this in. I can't see it and I can't hold it that way. So I'm sorry, I gotta have to put this down, but I'm going right into the middle. And then you're gonna take your thumbtack. Okay, and you're gonna poke it through. All four corners. Okay, so I got it through all four corners. That's it. If I can't hold it like that. Okay. Now, I want you to take your pencil this way and right there on the eraser, poke your pin in, okay? So now we have this giant pinwheel like this, okay? Now, the next thing we need to do is take our tube, and we need to make a hole in our tube, okay? And you can do that with a hole puncher, you can do that with scissors, you can do that with pencil if you'd like. It does have to be, you're going to make a hole all the way through from this side to this side so that the pencil can go all the way through. I'm just going to poke the hole straight through. Okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. All right, I want you to see that I made it a lot bigger on that side. So I'm going to come on this side and make it. Now, the reason is because I want it to be able to really loose. If it's too tight, then when this thing spins, the pencil won't spin. Okay, it'll keep it from holding. So we want this thing to be really loose so that the whole thing can move. Now, if you want to decorate your tube, you can draw on the tube, you can put stickers on the tube. We'll give you a piece of paper. If you want to decorate your tube, I'm looking for my tape. I know I had it. Here it is. All right, so I'm just going to kind of make a little castle kind of thing here. Notice it is not covering up my pinwheel. It's not covering up the holes. Okay. Almost looks like a tree now, right? So maybe if you get green ones, it'll kind of look like a tree, but I can draw whatever I want on here. Now, okay. Now, we do need to attach our string and our Lego man to this side. I'm going to give you some string. I would attach it to your Lego man first. Easy way to do that. Not so easy because he's kind of little, but put his arms up so that you're kind of going underneath him. All right, we're not attaching it around his head because I think the heads pop off. So we kind of want to go around his arms and just knot them. You can ask a grown-up for help with this if you'd like. Okay. And again, all I'm doing is tying a knot around it so that he's almost going to be like rappelling. If you've ever seen pictures of people going down the sides of a mountain, right? So he's tied up a little bit here. Now, your string will not be this long. Tie the other end
around your pencil. And I would knot it. I'm just going to chop off a little extra a little bit. Now I do want you to see just how long my string is. Okay? So he's really long. Now, move you down this way. Okay. And let's see if we can get maybe a little bit like that. Okay. And then if you take it outside and or you blow on it, I am going to have to, my string is really long. Okay, now all I'm doing is blowing on it. Do you see what's happening to the string here? Right? And there's my person. Again, your string will not be this long. Really won't fill it up. And if it does, if you don't have a pencil that's long enough, right? If you're using a shorter pencil or something, you guys can cut the string a little bit shorter. You don't want it to be just this length though. Okay, you do want it to kind of lay a little bit on the ground, but notice how this is working. Okay, so it does make energy as long as the shaft can turn. It would generate electricity. It would go into the generator that was inside of the big wind turbine. Ours isn't going inside of a big wind turbine, but it is still doing energy, isn't it? It's still going to be enough to pick him up. So that's our science experiment for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something. And yes, you get to keep the Lego. So I'll see you guys next week. We're going to learn about planets. Please remember to register. We are meeting in person right now, but if you can't, we still have the kits at the library. Thanks for coming.